Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Jules Kvova, and today we are going to talk to Brandon Murphy. His website is truthiverse.com. He also has a very interesting YouTube channel. You will find all the links down below. He is an author, a public speaker, a researcher. So very happy to have him here during these interesting times. So Brandon, welcome.
Thank you for having me back again, Judith. It's a pleasure.
So I heard you are a father. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, it is definitely an interesting path.
I'm pretty sure your life hasn't changed one bit.
No. I've got lots of leisure time, just do whatever I want, whenever I want. It's fine.
Is it a boy or a girl?
A girl.
You know what? Before she starts dating, you bulk up and you'll be fine.
That's right. That's right. I'll be getting some tools.
Yeah, just when the boys are seeing you standing there, very impressive.
Right.
They don't even dare to think about bringing her back late.
Yeah. That's right.
So, Brendan, our interesting times. So lately I heard somebody explain what it needs to, let's say, take a society into a groupthink situation, or even flat out panic and hysteria. So, and this gentleman explained that it is important that in general, people feel a little bit the feeling of senselessness, detached from family, hating their jobs, plus a lot of free-floating anxiety, meaning the moment you take a subject and you direct the attention on that subject, and then you give them a reason where they can hang their anxiety on, then you are fine. You are halfway there. Would you say that is true?
Yeah, I think that's heading in the right direction. And it's not, if you look back through history, you've got this interesting phenomenon of, you have the group that is in and the group that's out. We have this tendency to want to put people on the outside, otherize them, and then demonize the other. And we've always had this is just a human social thing as far back as we know. And so we want to, a lot of people have like a latent, maybe even everyone has like a latent kind of desire to blame and scapegoat someone for the way that they, for that anxiety, that sort of amorphous, nameless anxiety that they don't know why they're stressed out. They don't know what they're afraid of exactly. But then the government or big pharma or someone provides a trigger and says, it's that thing there, it's the terrorists, or it's the virus, or whatever it is, and then people go, okay, here's a focal point for my anxiety and my fear and this, I can take out my rage on somebody here because I'm going to scapegoat them. They didn't wear a mask, that's why I'm sick, this kind of rubbish. So yeah, I mean, this is what's happening.
Yeah. And I also think that, in a way, it as horrible as all of this is, it is an opportunity for us, because finally, in 2020, we had the possibility to think about, is that really what I want to do with my life? Yeah, I mean, so many people stay in jobs that they absolutely hate. And let's say they are, they are going to work, but they hate every second of that experience. And so did we not use it correctly, that opportunity?
Oh man, that's a very interesting question. It's been such an interesting thing to watch, because you know, on the one side, there are a lot of people who are incredibly stressed and under massive pressure because their businesses have been shut down, and they need to feed themselves, and they've got families to support. So there's that side of it. And then there's the other side of it, like you're saying, you know, people working jobs that they don't like and don't want to really be in, but they've never really thought about, they've never asked themselves a question, like, what kind of life do I want to have? You know, how do I want to spend my time? And that is, I think, an opportunity some people have taken up, and really changed the way that they were operating. Like a lot of businesses have gone into like work from home models. I know people who are doing that now, and it's like, you know, this is great. We can sort of work on our own schedule, and it's a bit more laid back. I don't have to go to the office and commute and all that sort of stuff. And you know, that's fine and dandy. You know, I'm more interested in directing people's attention to the reasons why all this has happened, and how, you know, what a sham and fraud the whole thing actually is, and the opportunity that we had to actually step up and think for ourselves and claim our power and claim our responsibility and our agency, and take back what we've abrogated, and, you know, allowed all these governmental sort of parasitic entities to take over and direct our lives for us. We had an opportunity to reverse that and take ownership, but for the most part, I mean, definitely in Australia, we've failed miserably, miserably.
Yeah. And I find it interesting, you know, we will see if that will be implemented. But so far, the idea is that starting with September, those who did not have the double needle craft, that they can no longer enter the supermarkets unless they either have something that proves that they overcame that disease, or they get tested, and that test must be not older than 48 hours, and you have to pay for that test yourself.
Incredible. In Germany, this is what's happening in Germany.
Yeah. So we will see if they really that is what they are talking about now. You can also find it in media. If it will be like that, it will be interesting to see, because what I found really discouraging is what people are willing to take as given. It's, you know, it is just this, it is just that, it's just for 2 weeks, it's just for, you know, and if I add all those justs together, my entire life is affected. And the willingness of accepting such nonsense, that is something that really boggles me.
I can't believe it either. I cannot believe how easy, you know, Yuri, there's a guy who worked for the KGB, I think it was, a Russian guy. So he was in the Russian intelligence circles, and you've obviously seen it, Yuri Betsmanov, and he was talking about the way that intelligence agencies run their psychological operations against the population. And one of the key aspects of it was this thing called demoralization, which is this basically just breaking the spirit of the people and just demoralizing them so that they don't have a sense of power. They don't have a sense of ownership or control. And they're just going to bend over and take whatever the government, you know, gives them. It's like, and that's a situation that so many countries are in now. And you know, it is bizarre. It's grotesque to watch because of the actual damage and destruction that's happening. But people go, like you say, they rationalize it. Oh, I just have to wear a mask to go into the shop, and now I just have to get the shot. Oh, now I have to get the next one. It's just another, and it's like they don't pull back and see the big picture is that all of this stuff, all these boxes were already written up as part of a plan from the beginning. So and these guys are expert in rolling out this stuff. They've done it before many times, right? So they've had lots of practice. They know exactly how people think or don't think for the most part. And so they go, here's how you run the psychological operation, the psyop. You just do a little bit at a time. You put the frog in the cool water, and then you gradually boil it so he doesn't hop out. And that's what it is. You know, David Icke called it the totalitarian tiptoe. So it just amazes me. But people are so demoralized and so completely on a subconscious level, they have no sense of power. They don't have it's like a self-worth issue almost on a collective level. Like no one with any self-worth or self-respect would choose to voluntarily go along with this stuff and submit to it and go and get the shot, wear the face nappy and all this stuff. It just wouldn't do it. But we've been rendered into this broken down, demoralized state. So all the most absurd narratives, people just swallow it hook, line, and sinker. It's incredible to watch.
And what you just said, then we have this, at the same time, this critical race theory.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Have you seen that one where they removed a boulder stone from a university?
Oh, what's this one?
Yeah, because that is racist as well. Stones are racist now as well. $50,000 for removing the boulder stone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that was probably a very racist stone.
Yeah.
Well, worth money well spent.
Yeah, exactly. And that is also something. My goodness, when I spend a lot of time in Kenya. And while I was married to my ex-husband, and he was still in Kenya, so I visited often. In fact, I came every month. And so I have never, and because of that, I spent most of my time with Black people in Kenya. So, and I never had a problem with that, and they didn't have a problem with me. So this artificially, only a white person can be racist. First of all, that is so not true. Yeah, you find racists among all races. End of story. And for instance, what shocked me a little bit in the beginning there in Kenya, when they talked among each other, and then all of a sudden you hear things like, oh, here comes nigger Jack, there's nigger Tom. Yeah, that is how they talk to each other. Yeah, and I was standing there like, and they said, oh yeah, we use it all the time, we use it, yeah. And but the image that is portrayed in this critical race theory and in the media is that all Black people are these, very, very fragile people, and you have to pussyfoot around them all the time, and best you do not talk anything, you might disturb their emotions. And I mean, what bullshit is that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so patronizing. It's so patronizing. And that's one of the things I noticed about the social justice warriors. They're so concerned that they appear to be deeply offended on behalf of all the Black people and all the minorities. And the way they talk about them is actually grotesque. It's disgusting. And it is kind of like, you could actually justify being offended at that. And the way they talk about it so condescendingly and patronizingly. Meanwhile, it's like, hang on a minute. Are you not kind of shoving words in these people's mouths? Are you actually listening to what they're saying? Because I don't know any Black people who are, crying because a white person said something or looked at them a certain way. I don't know any Black people who are so easily offended. It's like, it's just one of these concocted things, and that a certain minority of the population, the white sort of SJWs, they latch onto it because they think they can score social credit points or something by being offended for everybody, It's like, it's pathetic.
Yeah, but on the other hand, of course, it keeps people in a victim mentality. And and I'm not saying, there haven't been injustices. That is all a given. We don't have to talk about that. But staying in that victim mentality also makes you passive. You will not try to improve yourself, because that victim mentality becomes like a second skin, and your chances of improving your own situation diminishes.
Oh, massively. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think that on some level that could be by design as well, because the elite
Yeah.
are always conjuring ways to keep people disempowered, right? So that's a really obvious one. It's like, if your worldview is, and your self-identity is, that you're a perpetual victim, that there's always someone out to get you, there's always someone, stomping on you. I mean, you can't live a life like that. You can't make a life like that. You can't be creative, because your whole psyche is oriented towards being reactive to everything and going, what's the next piece of, what's the next insult that's going to be hurled at me, and who am I going to have to defend myself against next? And it's just a completely neurotic, it is a really neurotic way of living, and you can't create anything of substance or power for yourself in your own life by living like that. At some point, you've got to actually take ownership and responsibility for how you feel and the thoughts that you think and what you believe. It's like, it's like the same with people who think that wearing masks can make you healthy, or that if you wear a mask, I'll be healthy, because
Yeah.
like, it doesn't work like that. You have to take responsibility for what goes into your body, how you spend your time and energy, right? So it's like, it's the exact same thing with that. Like, both of them are informed by a kind of underlying victim mentality. Both of them are, demoralized people on some level, people who are already broken down. So when you give them an excuse to feel indignant and self-righteous, they're going to jump on it, because that's the only way they can get any sense of like validation or not self-worth, but something like a simulacrum of self-worth, something that approaches it, but synthetic and fake, because they don't have a real sense of self-worth deep down.
Yeah. And yeah, I hope that this insanity to start teaching that at schools and so on and so on. That's, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, where do we go from there? Imagine you indoctrinate an entire generation with this nonsense that only one race can be racist.
I know. And imagine the self-loathing that creates.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm the racist race. I'm the racist group.
Mm-hmm.
That's just psychological abuse. How are you supposed to grow up healthy and happy like that?
Mm. Yeah.
Crazy.
Exactly.
So take your kids out of school while you can, ladies and gents.
Yeah, I had James Bartley on recently, and he said he's looking for private schools for his boy.
Yeah, I don't think there's any, like, I mean, as long as they're a mainstream, as long as they're following the doctrine, the mainstream system or model, like you can't. They're all infected, and sooner or later they're all gonna be. There's an explosion of homeschooling in Australia at the moment.
Yeah,
which is awesome. People are catching on, and they're like, no, I don't want my kids to be around that. I have a friend who their kids, they go to school where it's like a prison. It's like you can't get into the grounds without, there's a big gate. You got to scan something at the gate. You got to get permission to go through just to pick your kids up. And it's like, wow, I'm not sending my kid into a place like that. No.
Yeah. So what role does reliable information play? Because what I'm also observing is a dwindling confidence and trust in government. And that has a lot to do that not very much reliable information is being transported from the government to the public. And even if people, they cannot really put their finger on it, but some of them, they really have a feeling for it when that's wrong somehow. So are governments doing themselves a disservice?
Yeah, if they want to have any credibility or power, they are. Yeah, for sure. It's I think they're at the point where a lot of people would have them not just locked up, but locked up in mental institutions at this point. It's what they're saying and doing is absolutely Looney Tunes. I mean, in Australia, it's just grotesquely bizarre. Like, you're talking about, oh, we can have 20,000 people at a football match, but you can't go and visit your grandma, kind of thing. It's like, it's clown world. It's just total clown world. And they tell people at the footy, if the ball comes at you, get out of the way. Don't let it touch you. You can't be serious. You can't take these clowns seriously. It's a joke. It is a joke. Reliable information. I like that. That's a term that I think people are starting to realize now, that you're not going to get any from government. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's not that we haven't talked about it for years.
I've only been saying it for, I don't know, let's see, about 18 years or so. Don't mind me. I just rocked up yesterday. It's fine.
Yeah. And so why is it so hard for us to recognize when we are sliding into that, or we are being captured by groupthink, and extreme cases, then that would be mass hysteria, and you end up with lynch mobs or whatever. And something must be happening in the brain. And I think that is when the prefrontal cortex shuts down and the amygdala takes over. But of course, we are not getting notified.
Yeah, we need that little notification to pop up in the screen, amygdala online. Yeah. And that's it. Once you're triggered into fear, people go into fear, and you can't reason with them. You can't give them information. You can't get them to do anything rational, because they're in survival. It's kind of survival mode, and that's the amygdala, the reptilian brain, the limbic system is just designed to go with the biggest herd, because that's where, on an animalistic survival level, it sees its biggest chance of safety is go with the biggest herd. So you don't want to be with straggler at the back of the pack on your own kind of thing, where the lion's going to get you. You want to be in the pack where it's safe. And so they see, like, on a subconscious neurological level, that's what they see. Someone like one of us, we're like a threat to them, where we put them at risk of getting eaten by the lion if they listen to what we have to say and actually process it rationally. But yeah, so you just can't do it. Once people are in groupthink, unfortunately, it takes a lot to get them to start questioning. Like Eric Clapton recently, did you see what happened to him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was involved in groupthink, and we know that because he went and got the needle. And nobody does that on the basis of good evidence. They do it on the basis of propaganda and disinformation. And so he did it, and then he paid a very severe price for that, and found out the hard way that it is not what it is advertised. So yeah, I don't know if he can play guitar again yet, but he wasn't able to play. He was very, very sick.
Yeah, I know, but he is. And in fact, he's also going on tour, and he released a press statement that he will not perform at any venue that demands vaccination.
Beautiful. Lovely. And that tells you something about the kind of character that he is. He is a man, obviously a man of principle, because only a person of principle would take that kind of a stand, like a principled stand, and say, you know what, it doesn't matter what your opinion is about the needle, but I'm not going to enable and support a venue or a company that takes the fascist policy of you have to have this put into your body, otherwise you can't come in. And that's what we all have to do. We just got to stop playing the game and opt out and take a stand, and then it's over.
Yeah. That is, the ground that they are standing on is very, very thin. And what I see, yes, I see the clown world. I see the absurdities, but I also see their panic. I also see their lashing out at everybody and everything. I see that as, they know that the story is crumbling.
Yeah. I think you're right. There are indications of that all over the place, because you get mass protests in places like London. I saw there was one in Germany as well. A huge amount of people came out. In Australia, we've had a couple of reasonably good protests, but there are other signs, like in Byron Bay not that long ago, they had a testing clinic for cooties set up, and no one was going to get tested. It was just a ghost town, right? So that was a really good sign. And now what they've done just yesterday, literally yesterday, they announced for the region of Byron Bay, they announced a snap lockdown, and everyone has to stay home for the next week. And because it was this supposed one guy who was roaming around the area with the so-called Delta variant, the Delta scariant, and he was going around exposing people. And, this guy's probably, I reckon there's a decent chance he's actually completely invented, because they've been known to do that. But I believe the reason that they targeted this region of Byron Bay was because they know that finally probably what happened was that got filtered back to them that no one was going to the clinic, the cooties clinic, to get tested. And so they needed to invent a scare, sort of fear-mongering campaign, scare people into, oh my God, there's been this guy roaming around exposing us. We better go off and get tested, or go and get the needle, because the needle uptake rates aren't as good as what they want either. So there are good indications amongst all the carnage.
Mm. 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 And here in Germany, what was interesting, the courts banned the demonstration in Berlin on 1st of August this year, but the people came anyway. Right. So, and then we saw so much police violence, unbelievable. Little boy, the mother was dragged away. The little boy sat on the floor with his mother. The mother was being dragged away by the police. Of course, the little boy was upset, and he was sitting on the ground saying, "Mama, mama, mama." So, and what did the police? They punched them with a fist in the face, the little boy. And we have it on video. We have police attacking seniors. They grab them by the throat and then throw them on the ground. And did you see what happened after that?
No, tell me.
What is the word? UN Special Rapporteur. That was the word that I was looking for. UN Special Rapporteur for Torture. He went on Twitter and he posted one of those clips. And he said, this is unacceptable. I need eyewitnesses. I want to know if a official investigation has been started. Here is the email address. Please do not reply here on Twitter. And then his office was flooded with eyewitness reports. And at the very beginning, I thought, yeah. But he said that he is starting an investigation, and that his impression is that all governments see their own citizens as enemies, and that is a deadly spiral, because in return, the citizens at one point will also see the government as their enemy, which, yeah, okay. We have seen that this way for a long time, but yeah, others probably not. So we will see what will come out of it. And yes, I know what type of organization the UN is. And on the other hand, I believe there are people in it who truly think that that is a good organization and that try to do a good job. I'm pretty sure that not everybody that is working there is totally familiar what that organization is actually about. What do you think?
Oh, I completely agree. It's like with, Freemasons and that kind of thing. It's like, there's a certain kind of personality type in like the truth movement that likes to oversimplify things and blame everything on one group, like it's the UN or it's the Freemasons or it's the Jews or whatever. And it's like, no,
the Jesuits, yeah.
Sorry, so go again.
The Jesuits.
The Jesuits, yeah, exactly. It's like they think they try to scapegoat this one group, and that's the problem. But yeah, the UN. I mean, I've known people who've been involved with the UN, and they all seem to just be trying to do something good in the world. They're doing their best with what they've got to work with, and the UN it's infiltrated at certain levels and certain positions. It's not everybody who works for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And but what I found interesting was that our media what they wrote was that the police had to deal with aggressive and violent protesters, when of course it was the other way around. And this rapporteur of the UN, he saw that. And so, yeah, it is so.
It happened, it happened in Melbourne as well. That exact same thing where there was a big group out in protest. And then at the end of it, they were all peaceful, all completely peaceful. And then at the end of it, as people started to disperse and there was a small group left, the cops that had been there, standing there, waiting the whole time, then once there was a small group, they attacked the small group. And of course, what does the media do? They say, oh, this unruly, violent protest group, it's all bullshit. It's the media is just a mouthpiece for government, which is just a proxy for big pharma and the globalist sort of corporations. We've known this stuff for decades.
Yeah, I've been observing this with the supermarket situation here for quite a while, and then yesterday it seems to get more substance. I personally wouldn't be surprised if they go through with it, because it fits into the overall plan. The takeover, what I call platform economy, meaning Amazon took over what other shops were for during the lockdowns, for instance. Uber, I don't know how you say it, they never made $1 of profit in their entire existence. It doesn't matter. They have Saudi money behind them, and in the long run, they will take over the taxi business. Yeah. So, and then restaurants were replaced by delivery services. Yeah. And now, I think in the long run, the supermarkets will fade away. We will lose even more jobs. And the delivery services that bring it to your house will take over. In that sense, it fits. Yeah, doing that, because of course they are already screaming, yeah, but we will lose millions, and yeah, you will. Mm-hmm.
That's right. But the people who are pushing this don't give a shit about that. They don't care.
Mm.
So, what's going to happen is the next step will be to have, first it'll be like that takeover that you're saying, and that you'll be ordering through one of these platforms, and then it'll be like, oh, you'll have to put in your digital ID proof that you've had the needle in order to put an order through, and then it's so predictable. I mean, I was writing articles 5 years ago where I was like, what's next? It's going to be no jab, no fly, no needle, no fly. And here we are, 2020, 2021, and that's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, if you know the script and the agenda, it's just so obvious. It's so easy to predict, but you just can't get through to some people.
Yeah. And when I heard that the first time, I thought, what's next? Starting with October, do I have to wear a yellow star in case I want to leave my house for a little bit?
Right. Yeah, exactly. I know. And they've done it in Israel as well, of all places, Israel. You'd think that they'd know better than to create a two-tiered society where there's an in-group and an out-group. But they're doing that whole thing with the people who've had the needle. They can go into the restaurants and clubs and whatever. And people who haven't, well, they're they're outcast. It's a very, very dangerous. It's a very, you're one or two steps shy of having mass graves at that point. And really, that's kind of the direction that these psychos are pushing in. So,
yeah, but
at this point.
Yeah, but on the other hand, very interesting. The last couple of days, I read a little bit in Jerusalem Post, Israel Times, and so on. 96% of those that have the Delta and are hospitalized and have a severe disease, they are double needle crafted, 96%.
What a surprise. I am so shocked.
Yeah. So, and 14 that have been hospitalized from that group, they even had the booster shot.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh.
Yeah. So what's going on there?
You know, I think I'm constantly reminded of that that biblical phrase, you know, the meek shall inherit the earth. I'm like, well, and on some level that's starting to look kind of true in a way. It's not that we're meek, it's just that we are maybe not as naive as the others.
Yeah. Yeah, so they say. But you know, with meekness alone, you cannot win.
No, that's right. And it's actually the meek who are lining up to get the needles. So,
yeah,
you know, the people with common sense shall inherit the earth.
Yeah. I have a very simple rule. It has served me well for many years. And in the words of the beloved George Carlin, I don't trust anything that government tells me.
Amen, George.
But of course, not too many people are at that point. And even here, because next month we also have a so-called election.
Oh, yeah. One of those.
And there are heated debates, you know, whom to pick. And yeah, it will not change anything.
No, you don't feel like it's a useful process?
No, absolutely not. I have given up on that years ago. I can't even recall. Yeah.
Yeah.
When
I don't see, because I don't know much about the ins and outs of German politics. I find it interesting to hear the point of view of someone who lives there and is paying attention to it. Because I feel the same way about Australian politics and politicians. You know, it's like the big three parties. It's always, they dominate the thing and they're always just as corrupt as one another. And it's the same old story every year.
Yeah.
Every 4 years.
I'm also convinced that all elections are rigged and manipulated. Yeah.
Oh, we know that now in Australia. That's definitely true, for sure.
Yeah. And here it's the same. It's always, you just have to read the so-called surveys. And then usually they adapt the outcome to the survey.
Yeah, it's crazy. We all need to take the surveys differently then.
Yeah. You know, when I'm not a fan of huge crowds, I have to say that, and haven't been for many, many years. That does not mean I never went on to a concert or anything. Yes, I did. Saw Pink Floyd and many other good bands. So, but at the same time, when I was in that group, I always, in the back of my head, there was always that level of me that was monitoring the crowd. And I never wanted to be right in the middle. I always needed some, let's say, exit, a shortcut to escape. And I always was very aware of this can flip in a heartbeat. And the moment the crowd is going to do something crazy, I want to be able to get out. So, but not everybody has that, of course. And that's okay as well. But how can we protect ourselves that we, do not end up in a totally hysterical group of people, maybe let's say clobbering somebody to death, and then it turns out that that person was innocent?
I mean, this is a thing, like you can only be responsible for Judith Quobo. I can only be responsible for me. So we can have all the sanity in the world, but we can't force anyone else to do it, unfortunately. It's just one of these things. So I've always felt like the solution was just, to on an energetic level, hold the frequency that you know is what the world needs, you know, so to speak, you know, be the change you want to see, and all those cliches. And the reality is, like, if you look at the Maharishi experiments and the stuff that I've written about in my first book, then you know, like, the energetic approach has power to it. So there's a way of kind of unconsciously influencing the collective by inputting coherence into the system at the level of consciousness. And then, you know, obviously we need to be raising awareness and giving people a chance to see reliable information or accurate information at a conscious level. And whether or not they choose to look at that, I think a great thing at the moment is just getting out of cities and getting away from cities. I say this to my own detriment, because every time people do this, it pushes the property prices higher in all these other great areas. So that's the downside. But yeah, I would not want to be living in a city at this point. I think that's where the mass hysteria is going to be the worst. When food shortages or toilet paper shortages hit, you know, people are eating each other in the aisles of the supermarket. I mean, it's just crazy. So yeah, I'd stay away from those places.
Yeah. And I think it's always good to take a little bit, you know, a step back and rethink it again. How does this all work? How can we all end up in a nonsensical mass hysteria? And if we do not question that, because most people here, yeah, I know that there are many that are speaking out, but in general, they're going along, and it's the road of least resistance.
Yeah, and that's it. That's how we end up in the concentration camps, right? You know, don't rock the boat, don't fight, don't resist, and then it's too late. Eventually, it's too late if you don't do it when you need to. So I hope the Germans are, you know, going to start taking an even bigger stand than they have been. I hope that I see it more in Australia, because we've done a pretty crappy job so far of taking a stand, and that's it. It's a numbers game. Like, Judith, I don't know why people don't understand. Like, everyone hates the lockdowns. They hate having their businesses destroyed. They hate the loss of income. Their families are affected. Mental health is just absolutely a nightmare. Suicides have gone through the roof, but they keep complying. And it's like, all of those things that we hate and are destroying us, that's us doing that to ourselves. And we have the numbers. If we say no en masse, even if just 50 or 60% of people said, nah, we're not doing this, that's basically game over. Like, there are not enough, they don't have the manpower, there aren't enough police. It's game over. Like, it's a numbers game. It's really simple.
Yeah, exactly. And but one thing that Australia has, you have a very low percentage that took the double needle graft. Yeah,
I think so. I think the government, it makes it difficult to find out, because they constantly tell us that it's a really high number, which I don't believe at all. So, you know, we've heard like 11 million people have had it, 6 or 7 million people have had it. And I think that's a bald-faced lie. And the reason they lie like that, to give us big numbers, is to tap into that herd mentality, that's kind of bandwagon effect in the subconscious mind. People go, oh, well, I better go along with the herd. Off I go to get my needle. You know, it's like that's what kicks in. That's why they tell that kind of a lie. But yeah, I think that the uptake rate is a lot lower than they want it to be.
Yeah, because there are reports that it's just around 20%. If that is true, that would be encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, great. I think that now so many people are, even if they're not actively researching what's going on and understanding it properly, they're just kind of a bit over the whole thing, and they've started to realize there doesn't seem to be a pandemic happening. Like, people aren't dying in the streets, you know, like, everyone that I know seems fine. They're starting to cotton on that it's not quite the end times as the media has been portraying it, which is good. I mean, I just wish it would happen a bit faster, that people cotton on.
Yeah, and that is the confusion that is always going on. And it's so sad that people trust a strange person in a black box that is talking to them every evening, they trust that person more than their own experience. So
yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, like, that's the demoralized person. They're externally referenced because they don't trust themselves. They don't believe in themselves, their own ability to discern reality, to distinguish fact from fiction, and so they don't even try. And then if you're not even trying, then you're easy prey.
how did we lose that ability to think for ourselves? Because I have the impression, especially here when I talk to certain people, that they all know what to think and what to talk about and what to fear, but they don't know how to think. How did we end up there?
I'd love to know the answer to that. I think it must have something to do with a deep collective trauma, maybe something that happened a long time ago in humanity. And then the thing about, like, the subconscious brain is it doesn't work rationally. It doesn't work on conscious cognition. So if you, as soon as you get people into those animal levels of the mind, that's it. Like, you aren't going to be think rationally. Put fear, terrorists, blah blah blah, and then that's game over. So unfortunately, our education system, and I'm assuming Germany and most countries are similar. Like in Australia, we have a system that teaches you, like you were saying, what to think. It doesn't teach you how to think. Like, I actually went to a private school, like quite an expensive private school, and the headmaster who was there when I was there, he retired, I don't know, I think around about the time I left and moved on. And he was interviewed by the school magazine a few years later, and it was quite an interesting, revealing interview, because he actually said, and they printed it, he actually said, "We're not teaching kids how to think. We're just teaching them what to think." And to come from the headmaster, or the former headmaster of an elite Australian private school, that we're not teaching, I mean, it's great. It's like, what more do you need? This system is not churning out cognitively capable, independent thinkers who are critical thinkers, who have doubt, the ability to see through lies and scams and question things. It's like, it's failing on that front miserably. If we had an education system that worked, 2020 would never have been possible. It just wouldn't be possible.
And as you said, these are such old programs that we all have inherited when we lived in tribes, and the moment you have been excluded from your tribe, that very well could translate into your death. Yeah, because living by yourself, that was very, very hard. And so the tribe was somewhat necessary. Of course, we do not have that. Like, let's say, your friends turn away from you, or somebody is no longer talking to you because of this and that. But still, that primordial fear, that is still there. And I think that this urge, I need to belong to a group, I need to have some type of identity, I need to be safe, that is driving a lot of nonsense.
No, absolutely. And it's tricky, because we're social creatures, right? So yeah. we have that instinct built into us that we want to belong, and we need to be around other people. And so naturally we want to connect with people, and then you want to connect with people who have a similar outlook and a similar worldview. And then, you end up with a nice little kind of echo chamber, and you filter out information that doesn't support what you assume is true. And, it just kind of spirals downwards from there.
Yeah. And do you think that, what is your feeling? Of course, we can only speculate here, but do you think it's possible that we will see a huge, let's say, Big Bang, and the entire story collapses around their ankles? And I have a feeling we are steering into that direction. I'm not quite sure what that might look like from which side that might come, but I have this very strange feeling that something big is coming and it's not good for them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that feeling ends up bearing fruit. That sounds fantastic. Let's go with that.
Yeah. What is your feeling? How long can they operate like that?
Well, I don't know. It's sort of weird because it seems to all hinge around the media. Like, if the media came out tomorrow and said that, you know, the prime minister is like a reptilian from space or something, most people who watch the TV and think that it gives you an accurate picture of reality would believe it without question. The same people who are getting the needle and wearing masks, they would believe that because it was on the TV and the prime minister or someone said so. You know, the media is what it all hinges on. So I'm waiting to see how much longer it can sustain itself, because it's interesting, because a lot of obviously we know the intelligence agencies manipulate the content of the media. They put their agenda in there, and
Yeah, sure.
that gets broadcast, right? So I'm like, I don't know how much money is really a factor here. Like, you know, Channel 10, for example, I think they went into receivership a few years back and they're not making any money. So I don't think it's a money thing. I'm just wondering, how do we get truth to be broadcast in the mass media? Because that's ultimately what is holding millions of us in this mind-controlled hypnotic state. So I'd love to see the media broken down or infiltrated somehow and just actually drop just one little bit of information that just tears the whole thing apart, because we all have access to it in the alternative community. We've been looking at it for a year and a half now, and it's like old news. But someone who doesn't know the value of the internet, the world's most powerful informational tool, and thinks that the 6 o'clock news is where you get truth from, I mean, they're going to be, if truth ever made it to that programming, that format, I mean, it would just be devastating. I think it would shock a lot of people, but I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know what this lightning bolt is going to be or where it's going to come from. I hope it does. That's all I can say. I hope that it's on the way, because, man, it's gotten really ugly.
We had one incident here in Germany where the editor-in-chief apologized in a video publicly for fear-driven reporting.
Wow, that's big. That's great.
Yeah. And yeah, of course, most people say too little, too late, and your apology is not accepted, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, I get it. On the other, I have to say, he predominantly apologized to the children, because he said that the children are not drivers of the pandemic, and that it's a total crock, that the children are endangering their grandparents. So he was focusing on that. I would have preferred he took it a step further, because it's also crock for the rest of us.
That's right.
And but you know, it's a tiny step, but it is a step. And it's the biggest tabloid here.
Oh, well, that's huge. See, I don't think we'd have anyone in Australia's media who would have the balls to do that, really. Like, to have the integrity to come out and like eat humble pie in front of the whole country. I don't think that person exists, but I hope I'm wrong. Like, I don't know. They could be out there.
They suspended Sky News Australia on YouTube. Did you?
They weren't towing the line.
Yeah. I have a strike again.
Oh, good. You do.
Yeah. It's a couple of months ago. I had 2 strikes, and I was pretty sure that they will delete my channel. But so now they are going through. Let's say interviews that are 2 years old. Those are being deleted now.
Ooh, I'm going to lose some stuff then.
And here in Germany, if you go to court against YouTube, you usually win. YouTube always loses here big time.
Right.
Yeah. And But do I really want that? First of all, I don't have the money to do it. Yeah. I mean, that's another wonderful thing about our system. To have a little bit of justice, you need money.
That's right. You got to pay for that.
And yeah, so it's kind of, but okay, what I found out is, and if you put words in your headline like freedom or in the description box or human enslavement, that is where the algorithms, where they jump on. And the video that they have deleted was the latest one. The first one was with Stefan Verstappen. The second one now was with Max Egan. And funny enough, the reason for deleting it is harassment.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
And very professional, very professional. They never tell you whom you have harassed. They never tell you what exactly you did say that was harassment. They just throw it at you. And yeah.
I've had 2 strikes against me on YouTube, and they told me that the third one they would delete the account. And they got me, you know, they do, like you said, you got the harassment thing. Mine was different. Mine, I think, was, they said I was impersonating someone, which I thought was bizarre. And I'm still not sure who I was accidentally impersonating, but apparently, you know, it's just arbitrary. I think they just like, the algorithm must just sort of pull an accusation out of a hat kind of thing, and then they just slap that on you. That's why. That's the reason why.
Yeah, but if you, let's say you are not involving a lawyer or whatever, if you tell them, please tell me exactly whom I have harassed and what did I say that constitutes harassment, then the only answer that comes, appeal denied.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine you're standing in front of court and you don't even know why, and the prosecutor will not let you know, the judge will not. I mean, what kind of bullshit is that?
I know. Big tech, gotta love big tech, right? You know.
Yeah.
Max Egan lost a lot of work, didn't he? He had his whole channels gone. 13 years of work, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I have everything backed up on Odyssey.
Yep. Oh, you would not rely on YouTube at all
No,
at this point.
no.
You put it there, but you make sure you've got somewhere else as well.
Yeah. Those days are over. That. Yeah.
Odyssey. Yeah. What else? Rumble.
Yeah, but Rumble is very interesting. Rumble is, it is not that they are not censoring. Because the minute you say something against the Russian government, they had it with Brandon O'Connell. He went to Rumble and he outlined in one of his videos something where Russia and Israel were working together and so on and so forth. And guess what? He didn't get a warning. He didn't get a strike. He woke up one morning and his channel was gone on Rumble.
Yeah, there you go. Wow. I didn't know that Rumble had that kind of
and if you look at the board of directors, there are a lot of Koshnitsky, Kumwalski.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, you can say a lot of things on Rumble, sure, but it's like with everything. Yeah, I could post the craziest CRT theory on YouTube, they would go along with it. I criticize something else, they do not. It's the same with Rumble.
Yeah, okay. See, my go-to, I think BitChute is pretty safe. They haven't censored anything that I'm aware of. So aside from having some upload problems, they've been good.
Yeah, but the upload problems are really going on my nerves with BitChute, and they had
Oh
it
yeah.
since day one, and that they haven't resolved it is not very encouraging. So I left BitChute. I have it all on Odyssey. It just uploads. It does what it's supposed to do,
It
and
does. Yeah. It
yeah.
does. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, from a technical point of view, YouTube is really great.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's great. If only it wasn't run by these depopulation fascist types.
Yeah, now we are harassing YouTube.
That's right. We should just delete ourselves right now
Yeah.
before they do
Please cancel yourself.
it. I think I might be impersonating someone again. I'll have to cancel myself.
Impersonating something. Oh my goodness.
Bizarre.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Interesting times ahead. We will see, especially here in Germany. I know a lot of people have high hopes with the upcoming election.
Selection.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Because recently I done a little bit around, because here Merkel, Sarkozy, Macron, the candidate for the Green candidate for chancellor here in Germany, Baerbock. You know where they all come from? Yeah, they all come from this subsection of the World Economic Forum called Young Global Leaders. That is where they have been educated. That is where they are being selected. So in case you have anybody new on board in your country, it's always a good idea to check out if they went through that education of young global leaders, and then you know what you are dealing with.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that's a good tip. Appreciate that one. Yeah, anything that comes out of the World Economic Forum is not going to be in the interests of the masses of people. We know that at this point.
Yeah, they most of these leaders that you see today, they come out of that company, the Young Global Leaders Company.
Yeah. Oh wow. PTY Ltd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Klaus is Mr. Klaus Schwab has given us a lot to think about as far as what the WEF is up to, and I think he's done a good job of helping to wake a lot of people up.
Yeah, sometimes it feels as if they're desperate to wake people up.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's like, how much more absurd can it get?
Yeah. What else do we have to do until you?
The irony, they just want to live in a free world where everyone's kind of red pilled, and we're refusing to do it.
Yeah. Do we have to start shooting you in the streets?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes, we'll do it. Yes.
Yeah, we will see. We will see what is. I think the election will not cut it, as usual, and because the selection that we have, it's same old young global leaders. Yeah. So.
Do you see the possibility of more big protests?
Yeah, we will see. The 1st of August was encouraging. I guess they're doing another one at the end of August in Berlin. And I think at that point, it doesn't matter anymore if the courts ban it or not. The people no longer give a shit.
Yeah, awesome. That's exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, because as we all know, the revolution will not be televised.
It'll be live streamed.
Yeah. And I also have a little bit of a problem with revolution. You know, so meaning you end up where you started. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, hopefully at this point we've kind of evolved a little bit beyond the system as it currently functions, and we can create something that actually works for us.
I know a lot of people here, they have this romanticized idea. Yeah, look, we did it with East Germany, the wall came down and peaceful protest, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, guys, it was not your protests. If that hadn't been the agenda, because on the road to a one world government, you cannot have these blocks. Yeah, and there was an interest to unify Germany, yeah, and get it back on track. And and I think that was the reason why Germany got reunified, not because of the peaceful protests. I think that is naive.
Yeah. I mean, they like to stage these kinds of things, right, and make it look like it's a grassroots movement, but it's really an AstroTurf kind of thing. So yeah, we've got to be a little bit. We've just got to constantly look behind the scenes, look behind the curtain, see who's pulling all the levers and pushing the buttons, and it's usually not what it appears to be on the surface, is it?
Yeah, that is not to say that those people who did protest at that time, that they didn't have legitimate grievances. Of course they did. But thinking that was the thing that tipped the scales. No.
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me of the whole, like, the Black Lives Matter protest. That was all hunky dory. Thousands of people out in crowds in the streets. That's okay. But then you can't protest for freedom and truth. That's not okay. So it's sort of like what the system allows you to do. It allows you to do what serves their interests.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon, come on. We cannot have that. Imagine all the peasants start yapping about their freedom at the same time. We cannot have that.
No, that's right. Who will shine our tiaras and sweep the floors and clean the roof? We're kind of, I mean, I don't want to harp on about it. They're trying to create a two class kind of, like, we'll be the serfs, they'll be the aristocracy, and it's like, I'm not down for that, playing that game. There are ways that we can, create something better, but we have to stop complying.
Yeah. And my four-legged boy is complaining.
It sounded like it was in the room with me. That was bizarre, but yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a cat.
No, he is complaining here. He has sometimes he has days like that where he complains a lot.
We all have them, right?
Yeah, I usually keep that to myself. People are stressed enough out there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Oh,
yeah, and that
maybe there's some reassurance in showing our warts sometimes.
Funny enough, when you mentioned, as I said, that demonstration was banned by the courts, but the week before they had a Christopher Street Day demonstration in Berlin with 50,000 people. That was okay. No masks, no distance, yeah. And everybody was hugging everybody, and police didn't disturb them at all. And then the week later, the courts banned the Corona protests because they do not social distance. They have a tendency not to wear their masks when they are protesting. Yeah, that is how insane it is.
There's a lot of new variants that show up at these protests.
Yeah. So if at that point, no, people cannot see that this is a political decision and not a decision that is based on health and safety of the population, then I don't know what to say. I'm out of words.
I know, we're just repeating ourselves. I've been saying the same crap for a year and a half now. I'm like, okay, I should just record it and just press play and just be like, here it is, play. All right, it's a scam. They're lying to you. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to think of ways to put some nonsense into the description box and make titles that have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. The amount their list of like naughty words, banned words must be just.
You can look that up online.
Oh yeah, right. I haven't done that. I have a pretty good idea of what kind of words to avoid at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a code word for everything.
Yeah. So, Brandon, I thank you so much for coming.
It's my pleasure.
We keep it sweet and short.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's been good. I think we've gone for an hour and a quarter roughly, so it's a solid innings.
Yeah. I wish you and all the Australians all the best. Stay strong. Don't lose your heads.
That's right. That's right. Well, I send the same regards to my German friends over there, and I hope that I hope you guys can throw off the yoke of government tyranny really fast and show us an example of what to do.
Yeah, here in Germany, I'm not sure if it's the same in every country, but here in Germany, if there is less than 40% outcome, the election is not valid.
Okay, I see.
So
is there a movement to for people to not show up and vote?
Oh, that's not a movement. People have been doing that for decades. You can say roughly 40 to 50% of all that are entitled to vote, they don't vote. And if that trend continues, that trend has been going on for decades, that it's getting more and more and more. Yeah, we will see. We'll see what happens this time.
Love to see what turnout you get this year.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm pretty, even let's say we have only 38% turnout. So that would mean the election is invalid, but they will not tell you that.
Yeah, exactly.
That is what I think.
That's what I think will happen. That's why I like the idea of not participating and not showing up, but then I'm like, well, they'll just pretend that everything works fine and that people showed up to vote, and then probably nothing will change.
Yeah. I think that at this point they are so criminal, even if nobody would show up, they would make up numbers and tell us a result.
Absolutely. You can count on government to do one thing, and that's lie.
Yeah, and they do not like competition.
No.
Stealing is not good. Your government does not like it.
That's right. They don't like competition. Exactly.
Exactly, because they are robbing you blind, left, right, and center, and there's no space for you to do some stealing. Not that I'm encouraging stealing here, please. I mean,
no.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but these days you have to. Also, did you notice that some people do not get irony, sarcasm, and you always have to explain it, how you really meant it? Because did you notice that as well?
Yeah, I get that quite a bit. Yeah, and I love particularly, and maybe you've noticed this too. Particularly, it happens with our American friends, and I love them, but a lot of them seem to struggle with sarcasm and irony sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all of them, just some.
Yeah, that's correct. So that was it. Night flight for today with the wonderful Brendan Murphy. Yeah. Make sure your prefrontal cortex gets not shut down, and we should all be fine. So until next time, stay safe and sound. Bye-bye.